Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matt Weaver from Headland Machinery. Here at Headland, we're doing everything we can to help Australian manufacturing get back on its feet after this weird situation that we've all been through. One of our most popular products are our vertical storage systems. So I'm here today with Frederik, and Frederik's going to take us through what the vertical storage systems are and what they can do. Morning, afternoon, Frederik. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
Thanks, Matt, for the introduction here. As Matt said, today we are here to talk about vertical storage, and what you can see here is one of those systems. It's called a Hänel Lean Lift. Hänel is a German manufacturer who manufactures these systems in Germany. And we want to go through today about what's the benefits of these machines, what's the purpose, and how you can use these machines to increase your efficiency in any kind of warehouse environment.
Fantastic. So do you want to start up and give us a quick run through on how she works?
Yeah, so basically before I bring down the first shelf, you see here our access point where the operator stands in front of the machine and sees all the racks which you can see at the back of the machine with all the goods on it. So what I will do now, I will call down one specific shelf. You see they are all numbered, so for example I call down shelf number 18, okay? So what you see here is the so-called extractor. Sorry, I interrupted the light there, which is a safety feature. So that's the extractor. It pulls out the shelf and brings the shelf to the extractor.
So is it as simple as just punching in the shelf number and it comes down?
Correct. That's the most simplest way to operate the machine, by just calling a shelf number. And you have seen already the big advantage now here, because in a normal warehouse environment, what are operators doing? Operators are walking, right? What I did, I just was standing in front of the machine, went to the controller, made one step, pressed the button, and all the goods are coming down to me. And now the other advantage, as you can see, is I have a good overview of the whole shelf. I can see what's in which compartment, and you have a multitude of different material numbers on one shelf, and you can easily access them ergonomically.
And can you achieve the same effect by putting in a part number?
Correct. That I can do now, so I go back to the controller, so you can see here, for example, the controller field. The controller has a fully integrated WMS system, a warehouse management system, so I can search for part numbers, I can search for names, material names, and so on and so forth. So for example, I search now for a pen. It brings up me different items which have the name pen in it. So I click on one, and then I just press minus meaning I want to take something out, and straight away it shows me it's located on shelf 4, compartment 11 and 6, and there's a 7 quantity in that compartment. What the compartment is I will show in a minute, but what you can see here already, there's an LED coming on which indicates where I need to go and pick from.
So it works in an X and Y kind of location, so it's telling you it's in this row.
Correct.
And 6 back.
Correct.
Okay. Let's have a look, shall we? So number 11, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's the pen.
There's a pen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So basically, if you have picked, then you go back to the controller, you confirm the pick by just pressing that button. That's it. And then the stock quantity is updated, and the lift will basically feedback that information back to your ERP system. And your stock quantity in your ERP system is updated automatically.
So it's totally integrated with the ERP?
Correct, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what kind of things can you store in a Hänel?
This shelf is a good example because it gives you the variety with what you can store with these lifts. You can store single items, you can have boxed items like these, and at the same time you're also totally free in how you subdivide the shelves. You can basically either use these kind of dividers, or you can have such kind of plastic totes, or you can put bigger parts you just put as a cardboard box on the shelf.
Okay, and is there a weight limit on the shelves?
Yes, there's a weight limit on the shelf. So for example, our standard model starts with 250 kilograms load capacity per shelf. But you can go up to, depending on the model of the lift you're selecting, you can go up to 800 kilograms per shelf.
And is there a weight limit on the amount of parts you can put into the entire thing?
Yeah, so basically the biggest lift has a weight limit of 60 ton.
60 ton total.
Yeah. And if you look at the footprint this lift has and compare that with the capacity it can store compared to a normal warehouse, it's a huge space saving. Yeah, this is one of the key benefits.
Yeah.
That you save a lot of space by going into the vertical.
So how high can you go?
You can go up to 15 meters. Most warehouses here in Australia are somewhere, or the most lifts we install are somewhere between 8 and 10 meters.
Okay. Can you run them over multiple floors as well? So if you want an access from multiple floors, if they're going up so high, can you go with that?
Yeah. So basically, you can, this is what we call the access point where you can access the product. You can have multiple of those. So if you have, as you said, different levels, you can have one on the ground level, one first level, second level, or you can even have one on the other side of the lift. So basically that you can access the lift from both sides, because as you can see, this is the lift consists of basically two towers, one in the front and one in the back. And you can, if you want to, you can access both sides from the second access point.
Fantastic. So what are the majority of your customers using these for?
The majority of the customers are using it for, either we have customers who store everything in it, or we have customers who have a mix or a setup in their warehouse. So using these systems for their smaller parts and the really heavy, bulky parts which sits on pallets or something, they go into a normal rack.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the benefit of this is, of course, the more this item is picked, the more the lift is picked from, the higher the benefit to you. Because the biggest benefit beside the space is the time saving. The time you're saving to find and pick parts is usually reduced by using such kind of a lift.
So what, on average, reduction do you see in time taken?
It depends, but you can easily say 50-60%. To give you an idea, we can see pick rates of 100 to 120 picks per hour by one operator. And most of the warehouses we see, they pick the same amount by at least 2 or 3 pickers and over a whole day.
Right.
So you see the difference in speed when you compare vertical storage with a normal warehouse setup.
Okay, so can you operate from a bill of materials as well? So let's say you've got like a top level part number, then you have a bill of materials below that.
Correct.
How does that work?
So basically what will happen is the same as I called now part number, the system, your ERP system where the orders are, the picking orders are coming from, will be sent to the system, and the button will illuminate and you just press one button.
Yep.
And then the lift will start bringing down shelf by shelf. Every shelf will indicate where you need to pick from, how much you need to pick. And after each pick, you confirm the pick, and then the next shelf comes down. Based on the bill of material provided, the next item will be picked.
Okay, now does that work in conjunction with this bench as well?
Yes.
So
correct.
what's this bench about?
So this bench is basically an additional option, an accessory for batch picking. Batch picking means that basically instead of picking single orders in sequence, you're picking SKUs or material numbers. So let's say you have 10 orders to pick, right? Every order of those have certain material numbers which are the same.
Yep.
So that means you, instead of picking one item for one order, you're picking the same item 5 times for different orders. And then you have here an LED indicator which comes on and say every tote is one different order.
Yep.
So you pick then, saying then for that order this material number needs to be put 2 times, this material, the same material number for this order 3 times, the same material number for a different order 6 times. So you're speeding up the process, because what means the batching here with the shelf is you have less shelf movement. You have seen that the shelf is moving up and down. That takes a little bit of time. But if you implement also batching, you reduce that shelf movement to a minimum, because you pick the same item for multiple orders, which are sitting here, and you put them before you move actually to the next item to pick.
So it's like maximising your efficiencies, really.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is obviously a Ling Lift, as you explained.
Yeah.
Now, there's another type, isn't there?
Yes, correct. We have a lift, or we have a machine called a Rotomat, which is basically a carousel.
Okay.
And perhaps we can move over to the other side
Let's go have a look at one of
to
those.
have a look at that one. So basically you see again vertical storage, same setup. It looks from the outline, it looks very similar, but as you can see already here in the access point you have what we call carriers. So this whole item here is one carrier, yeah? And the difference is really here, these carriers have a fixed dimensions, the same depth, the same height, the same width over the whole machine. The difference here is really to the lift. The height of this carrier is always the same. You can configure the different carriers individually. So for example, we have here now something like this kind of fold down door, yeah? We can have, if we move that through, we can see different...
So this one you can manually jog through?
Yes, we can manually jog through, but I can go also here the same on the view that I can enter a material number or a material name and so on and so forth.
We can try that.
Yes. So you can try that in a minute. But here, for example, you see another one. So this is like a shelf which you can pull out.
Water filters?
Yeah. So it's very flexible how you customize these carriers.
So how many different configurations of what you can do in there is there? Is it infinite, or is there?
Almost,
is it just like
almost
drop down and draw?
Almost infinite. The
Okay.
most what I want to show you is the most common configuration is using plastic totes.
Yep.
So basically, let's see what we have
Here's one
here.
line up and something.
So we have now here different items, which includes the name fork. So I click on that one. I press minus. Ask me for a job. We don't have a job. And now you can. Now you can
You have
see.
to put it into auto mode, do you? Like that.
And then you see already how it rotates through. You see here is the indication where the carrier is with the item which we are looking for. The system will automatically decide which is the best way to rotate, which direction, left way or right way, yeah? to go as the quickest way to get to that part. We can also vary the speed of the lift depending on what you're storing. So via the software we can adapt the speed. So basically we are now saying, okay, it's on shelf 14, it's compartment 11 in the x-axis, so here, and in the first compartment in the tote. So what I do is here, I'm pulling out the shelf and the tote, and here's the fork inside. Yeah, I can pick the fork, I can confirm the pick, and then it's done, and I put it back in.
Okay. So if you just bring that, can you bring that back up a little bit? I just want to have a look down there. Okay, so as you explained before about the carrier, this is one carrier here, isn't it?
Correct.
And it's been divided up into multiple sections to take
Correct.
multiple totes.
Yes. This is what happens often as well, is what we see here. We have here an intermediate shelf. So it it subdivides the carrier, which is basically still that height, and we're subdividing that carrier with two different intermediate shelves, so that we have actually 3 levels of totes, 1, 2, 3, right? And we even can go that far that, for example, we have now here a specific form of edge, which prevents the, on the one hand side, prevents the toes from being easily pulled out, but on the other hand side, the form also enables that you can lift it out. You can customize this edge to different variants depending on what kind of totes you want to store and so on and so forth.
So there's quite a lot of customization you can do.
Yes.
Okay. So how high can these go?
These can, the same as the other ones, they can go up to 15 meters, but the most efficient height is like 6 meters because of the different principle of rotation, like a carousel. The higher you go, the more time it requires to rotate through. Yeah, and
absolutely.
therefore, and also what's different to the lifts is you have a specific load capacity per carrier here as well, but the higher you go, the less load capacity each carrier has, because it's not different to the lift. It's not independent shelves. They are all hanging on on two chains, one chain on each side, and that means the higher you go, the more load is on that chain, and then you build everything more quick, with more strength, make it more expensive. But there are certain physical limits as well. That means that because everything is on that chain, the load capacity reduces with the height of the.
Yeah. So of course, with the Ling Lift, then it's only the shelf it picks is the only kind of real weight bearer it has, whereas this is permanently bearing the weight that's going around.
I mean, each carrier still has the same load capacity, but what I'm trying to say, for example, you can have a 6 meter lift. With, for example, each carrier has, let's say, 100 kilograms load capacity. But if you select the same model and have it 15 meters high, suddenly the load capacity per carrier might be only 70 kilograms.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Yeah.
So does this have the multi-pick option as well?
You have to have the same option there. You can combine it with a multi-pick. The real advantage with these machines is really if you have a lot of parts which are similar size, shape, small parts which can easily put into totes, because this machine is quicker to pick from. Yeah, because if you see from one shelf to the next, it's quite quick. Yeah. Whereas the lift needs to push away the shelf, go up, find the other one, bring it down. Yeah. Whereas here from shelf to shelf, it's quite quick.
Okay. Now I noticed the barcode scanner.
Yes.
So how's that used in conjunction?
So basically the barcode scanner is a replacement of the keystroke. So instead of putting in a material number, if your materials are barcoded, you scan the barcode, the material number is already in there, you just press the button to bring down the shelf, that's it. So it saves time. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So we have obviously quite a few of these machines out in the industry already, out in the market already.
Yes.
So your current users, what do they love about them? What are they saying?
The feedback is, let me put it that way, the feedback of the customers who have these machines is like, they will never go back to a normal warehouse setup. Yeah? Of course, it always takes time for them to get their head around about when they try to make the decision to invest in such kind of machines, because yes, it's a capital equipment, it's an investment, but I have not met one single customer who says, oh, I want to go back to my normal warehouse layout. Never happened, because I mean, you save a lot of time. The operators are much more happy because they don't need to walk anymore. It's easy to find things. They don't spend huge of time just searching for items. That will not happen anymore, because you just enter a material number or search item and you get straight away the information where it is stored. They have less stock variation at the end of the financial year when it comes to stock taking, because it's much a safer process also for bookkeeping, because first of all, you have most likely a limited number of operators who operates that. Secondly, whatever you do on the lift, it's recorded, right? If you take out stuff, if you put stuff in, every time it is recorded what happens on the lift.
So what about from a safety perspective as well, running a system like this or the Ling Lift as opposed to having your standard racking?
Yeah, safety is also a big improvement, because as you can see in a normal racking warehouse, you normally are restricted, especially with small parts which are picked by operators, you're restricted to 2 meters, right? Whereas here you have basically almost no limitation, and even if you have high bay racking, with a forklift to reach very high is always a dangerous operation, whereas here no forklifts involved, no safety issues. Yeah, even that there's no forklifts at all in the warehouse anymore reduces already the safety. Increases the safety.
So what about loading parts in then? How simple is that actually? Getting them into the system.
The same thing. You can the system will guide you through what you want to do. So basically, You can start in by putting a number. Yeah, for example, let's say 1, 2, 3. It sees that the new article number is there, and then it will guide you from right to left what to do. So, for example, if I press F2, it will ask me, okay, what's the minimum inventory? Yeah. If I go the next step, F3, it will ask me, what's the material name? If I make this step 3, what's the material number? How much quantity are you putting in? So it guides you through from right to left, and then you can put items in as you go. It's very straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. So how many of each type would you say you have in the country between the Rotomat and the Hänel?
In total, we have probably around 200 units in Australia installed, and the majority are Lean Lifts, simply for the reason that a lot of our customers are single machine users, and because the other machine provides you more capacity per machine, many customers will go for a lift. But again, if you have small items, small parts, this is definitely the more suitable machine.
Okay, and do you find there's any particular industry more than others that go for these systems, or is it really, really broad?
We have a very broad range of industry, including distribution businesses, airline industries, manufacturing industries, yeah, throughout the bank. Yeah, there's a lot of applications. We have even, not here in Australia, but globally, there's a lot of customers in hospitals. We have customers here in Australia in universities which are using the machines for laboratories. We have some customers using these machines for office applications where they store files. This is a reducing market because for files, I mean, more and more it gets digital.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of applications for these out there.
Okay, fantastic. So, budgetary costing then, what we're looking at?
It depends a lot on the configuration, and as we discovered as well, there's a lot of configuration possible, so that influences the price as well. But you're starting somewhere at $120,000, can go up to $200,000, depending on how high the machine is, how many shelves, how much load capacity per shelf, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the most important things to our customers in this country on any product is service.
Yeah.
So, how are we positioned around the country for service?
So yeah, we are well, as Headland, we are well positioned. I mean, we have over 30 field engineers in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth. So we're well set up. For the Hänel, we even go that far that, or for most of our equipment, our engineers are sent to the manufacturers, in this case in Germany. They go through every year a certified training program in Germany, where they are trained up, and these specialists for our Hänel division are located in Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney.
Okay, fantastic. So, if anybody wants any more information, what's the best way to get that? Yeah,
the best way is just click on our website, headland.com.au, and just look for vertical storage, and there's a contact email address for our sales department. Yeah, and that's the best way to go forward. And we can reach out and give you more information.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much, Fred. That's all from us today. If you've got any questions, please feel free to click below, add your questions in, and Frederik or one of our other sales team members will get back to you as soon as we can. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. See you soon.